it called? Air conditioning. In my mind, all I can hear is climatiseur, which is French. I don't know why. Anyway, I should be in my bed, but I'm not. I'm here talking to you. There's a lot that happened today. A lot of things. Some things you may disagree with in the way that I handle them, and that's okay. I'm a firm believer in I agree to disagree. Where should we start? Let us start with I have realized that it is really easy to make people uncomfortable just by turning up as yourself. It is really strange, but I'm coming to understand that this is a real thing. Like, there are strangers who get almost like defensive when you're not attacking them, you're just existing. And I think maybe like the younger me would have read the room a little differently, but like the older me realizes that just by you like living your life and doing your thing, some people will really get riled up by this. So let me give you some context because I like to tell a story, babes. We did a cooking class this evening, and it was another family of three, so two older parents, an older daughter, and then me and my girls. And of course, they loved the cooking class, right? Um, and then, so we're eating what we made before dinner, by the way. It was definitely a gluttonous kind of day. And then the mother, the first thing she says to me, so the older mother, her daughter looks like she could be maybe 26, 27, late 20s. And she says to me, "What do I do for a living?" And yesterday, if you were on the live, you saw that another lady from Australia, that was her first question. And I'm starting to see a trend amongst a particular demographic of women, um, that they really need to understand how I am traveling by myself with my children from a financial perspective. And it doesn't feel like a curious, hey babes, blessed Saturday. It doesn't feel like a curious, kind place. It feels like a very resentful, like bitter place, right? And I just find it weird that strangers need to be in my pocket. And I don't mean on a live or on TikTok where they're, baby girl, are you sneaking in, babes, or are you allowed to be here? Yeah, I don't mean like in this setting. I mean strangers that you meet face to face and they really need to be in my bank account. Like, high color of my story. I just find it weird. Like, the first time you meet someone, why do you need to be in their pocket? Ordain, thank you very much, my darling. And so then she goes on, and then it became like a weird competition. Now, keep in mind, this woman is old enough to be my mother. And somehow she is observing my children, and it seemed like it was becoming like a personal attack on her parenting just by us existing. Now, let me give you an example. So, as you know, the girls are screen free. Hi, Pauline, babes, how are you? And so they decided to tell these people a story about someone who was mean to them. T8M Entertainment, you saw an interview, and I did say, yes, I was on my podcast, and I said that if a man asks permission to give me a kiss at the door, I think it's weird. And people don't like that opinion. You're not allowed, you're allowed. Babes, I'm glad you're allowed. Um, right? Like meeting someone for the first time and you want to know what I do, but that's fine. So then the girls have told them some story about two mean kids at the playground, and I'll get to that story later. And then Maya says that she's gonna return her apron, but she's folding it. So she's folding her apron really, really neatly, and it's so cute before she returns her apron. And she has a little chef hat and she's folding it too. And the lady's daughter says, "That is so sweet that she's folding it." And the lady says, "Well, you used to be like that too. And then you turned 10 and your room exploded." I was like, okay, cool. That's the first thing that I thought was a little bit weird in terms of this comparison. And then she turns to me and she's like, "You just wait." And I always find it really strange when people call down negativity. like negative things of future parenting. I just think it's a little bit weird, right? Because it may happen, but it may not happen. And regardless of whether my children are super neat and tidy later on in life, it doesn't take away from the cuteness of the present moment. But okay, cool. That was her first thing that I thought was a little strange. Then the second thing that was strange is that they were talking about seeing the turtles, and the lady said that she went snorkeling and they saw Nemo. And I said, oh, that's pretty sweet. Unfortunately, they don't know who Nemo is, but I love Nemo, and we will eventually watch Disney and they will see Nemo, right? So she says to me, oh, I know someone who was just like you and had a daughter, and that daughter didn't watch television or any screens, and so she was not able to be sociable. And I'm like, first of all, can we stop, like, everybody, whether it's in the comments or when people meet me, everybody knows somebody who is just like me, even though you don't know me. How do you know that somebody is just like me if if you don't know who I am, because you've just met me, right? And then I said to her, so I said, you think that my children won't be sociable because they don't have screens right now? She said, yeah, well, they won't be able to talk to the other kids. I was like, first of all, my children don't just socialize with their age group. So because they've been traveling, for them, people are people. Whether you are 30 years old, whether you are 2 years old, they see it as an opportunity to play with everybody. And I said to her, they've been socializing in my womb before you even knew what socializing was, right? Like, they're twins. They play together all the time. They have no issues going up to new people and playing just because they don't watch a screen. And then I said to her, the fact is that everyone who develops this tech, whether it is from social media or whether it is Steve Jobs and the iPad, they all say that they do not allow their own children to use the technology that they have created. And to me, that speaks volumes. So the rest of us out here must be a donkey using up all of the tech that the creators themselves are keeping from their own children. I was just like, that don't make no sense. And then I said to her, this idea that because you can't speak about a movie means that you can't play. Furthermore, my children have just finished telling you a whole story about their day. I was like, if they were on their devices, there would be no conversation. They would just be like this. They would just be like this at the dinner table. And you know what this lady then says to me? She says, oh, she has another friend who recently had dinner and told everybody, including the adults, to put their phone in this box and so that they could actually have a conversation. And it was really interesting because the teenagers are always on their phones. And I'm like, precisely, like, that is the point. You're saying that young people need tech in order to have things that they can talk about, but the reality is young people aren't communicating. Furthermore, she's from the Netherlands, so I wanted to use a European point of reference, and I said to her, years ago, all of the European governments, as it related to school, added tech into learning, and it was seen as progressive, it was seen as advancing, it was seen as a great positive thing. Nearly every single European country is currently reviewing their technological policies in schools, or they have already reviewed it and gone back to basics with pen and paper, because they are seeing that on all the metrics that you judge a child's development, the children of today are regressing. They're regressing in literacy, in numeracy, in communication, in social skills, in all of the things. So your argument that I must have my children on a device to be more social, when all of the data shows that our children are less social as a point of using these devices, I'm like, but that don't make no sense. And then her daughter pipes up and says, I think the way you're doing it is perfect. And if I have children, I also don't want them to be on screens. And what I realized is by me just existing, remember, I was not preaching to these people. This lady, as I said, she's old enough to be my mother, so she could be a grandmother. There is no need for me to talk to her about my style of parenting when her big grown-up daughter is sitting at the table. But for some reason, our presence, just existing as a family who's sitting enjoying our day, makes people feel the need to somehow like knock what I'm doing or educate me on why my children should eat sugar, why they need to have ultra processed food, why they should be on a screen, and then get defensive when, babe, there was nothing to defend. There was literally nothing to defend. We were just here eating and telling stories. And I just realized it was like us just being there somehow makes people uncomfortable, right? And again, back in the day, that for me would have translated into something very, very different. Now, I just feel like it's a little bit sad. It's a little bit sad that just us being there. Another example, this gentleman, we were looking out on the beach. A man was playing Redemption Song, which is my dad's favorite song, favorite Bob Marley song. And we were just sitting enjoying it. The sun was setting, and he stops, and him and his wife are walking. He stops, she continues walking, and he says, "I just want to tell you that you and your girls are a beautiful family." He was, I want to say Spanish or something, right? And I was like, "Oh, thank you so much. That's so kind of you." He goes, "Yes, my wife and I saw you at breakfast this morning, and we were just watching you guys interacting. And we're just like, they look so well behaved. They look so happy. And I just wanted to tell you that it's just a beautiful sight to see." And I was like, "That is so kind of you." What was strange is that I'm then looking for the wife, right? Because she was with him. And then as he stopped, she continued walking. And then it was like, "Oh, would you not just like join the conversation? Because we're at the same hotel, your husband stop and talk, so you might as well stop and talk too." And I realized that just because they may have been sharing this moment at breakfast, she seemed uncomfortable with him telling us this in person. And again, the reason I'm sharing these stories about us showing up and making other people uncomfortable, right, is that just do you, babes. Do you, okay? Don't worry about what people think, because they're going to be upset anyway. Whether you talk or you don't talk, whether you share your thoughts, you don't share your thoughts. Other times, just being there, just being in these spaces. And honestly, I'm not one to bring up race all the time. That is not my vibe. Growing up in Jamaica, it's not like when I get to race, I've gone through like 50 other options before I've even got to race. But I have noticed in the like these last few days that there's a certain kind of woman that seems very uncomfortable by me and my children just being in spaces. They seem very uncomfortable by me and my children traveling, like things that just don't affect them. It's very, very strange. And I just wanted to share that you have to just do whatever makes you happy, because people are going to be mad anyway. So let me quickly get to your comments before I tell you the thing that you probably won't agree with how I handled it, which is fine, but I stand by the way I handled it, and it involves other people's children. But you guys have been saying things and I've been ignoring you. Not ignoring you, but say I can't really, the multitasking thing, I'm good, but I can't really tell the story and answer everything at the same time. Lady, why you sound like your voice? Am I supposed to sound different than the voiceovers? Babes, Angie, big up yourself, my darling. But we did not grow up with social media. It is so strange. Caribbean expat, big up yourself, my darling. Where are you based? Do you need to be on the podcast? Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you, Pauline. You're very patient. You know why I entertain the nonsense, honestly, is more so for the benefit of my children. Like for them to hear how we handle these crazy people. Because ultimately, my children also need to learn how to navigate these strange moments, and also just not let it penetrate, right? Like just to let it wash off. Do you eat raw liver? No, I don't eat raw liver. I have no issue eating liver or other offal, but I don't eat raw liver. And literally, and they are young and have time. Exactly, they have all the time in the world. But also, I do think that certain cultures seem to be very preoccupied with their children's ability to fit in. It's like a thing in England. A lot of people are concerned about their children fitting in. And I'm not sure if it is growing up in Jamaica. But I was never concerned with fitting in. My dad used to always say, "What if you see the people them jump off the cliff, go and jump too?" That was like his favorite thing. We were just not raised to fit in. Like fitting in or follow fashion was not the objective. And it feels like, in England or maybe in Europe, I don't know, because these people are from Netherlands, this idea that you must always be raising your children to fit in, fit in, fit in. And for us, it was like you want to do the opposite. You want to raise your children so that they can stand up and say no when their peers might be trying to lead them astray. Nothing funnier than folk and people. People are so weird. They are so weird. It's like thinking you can only learn a language with Duolingo. I'm learning. Thank you for sharing. Babes, pick up yourself. Melissa, my darling, how are you? She really did have some regrets. There was something about our existence that did trigger her, I think. And it was just bizarre. I love everything you stand for. Thank you very much, my darling. Do they match my shirt? No, they don't, babes. I mean, they're swirly. But you know what's funny? People keep asking me about my nails, and yes, I use it as a very nice segue into Jamaica is the best island in the world, babes, and that's why I have to have the colors on my fingers. Freya, big up yourself, my darling. Um, Thank you, Dax Dunn. Tanya, it's very strange. You know what though? Why is what I'm doing against the grain? That is what we also need to break down. Maybe not tonight, because as I said, it's late, but we have to really check ourselves and wonder why just going back to basics, speaking, communicating, living in the moment is going against the grain. Structure, discipline, and happiness makes people uncomfortable. Is that what it is? I think you're onto something. It flashed gone, babes. Trying to read. You're 22, babe. Pick up yourself and take your time. Live your life, my darling. Live your life. Hi, Claudie. How are you? My kids aren't getting devices like ever. Tanya, pick up yourself, my darling. I stand out like a sore thumb here in England. I do me exactly. Thank you very much, Lemoyne. Oh, I don't know what babe. I tired, and it late. My mother always said, go against the grain, stand out. Thank you very much. It's so strange. So let me tell you what happened at the playground. Guys, buckle up, right? Because this one, it's just all too much. Okay, it's just all too much. Today, I'm not trying to be funny, but there were people's picnic, and the picnic them, they weren't my kind of picnic them, if that makes sense, okay? And not to be funny, but we're in a particular country, this park was filled with foreigners. And I know there's this whole thing about people go online and they complain about foreigners when you're a foreigner, but there are different kinds of foreigners, right? There are foreigners like me, where we go to people's countries and we respect people's local ways. We want to learn more about the local culture. We want to, whether it's learn the words, babes. My Indonesian, it need work, babes. But now I can say good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Salamat. Okay, good morning is salamat pagi. Good afternoon, salamat siang. Good evening is salamat malam. We've already got the thank yous. We always do thank you. That's like basic. We have how are you? Apa kabar? So, we're picking up a few things because we like to pay respect. We like to show people that we're trying and make the effort in their country. We are guests in their country. But the point is, there are many a tourist, many a expat, many a foreigner that do not have the same attitude. So we're at the park. And Maya immediately starts crying because a boy has said to her, go. So she's on the slide playing with a member of staff at the park, and they're throwing the ball. She's throwing the ball down the slide. The lady catches the slide, throws it back up, and it's a little circuit. This little boy comes around the same age, around 5, 6, comes up to Maya and says, go. And he shouts really, really loud. She immediately goes down the slide, like with haste, like she's scared. And then she comes to me and she's crying and she says, I'm sad. And I said, what happened? She explains. I said, babes, did you want to go down the slide? She says, no. She didn't want to go down the slide because she was throwing the ball with the lady. So I said to her, well, why did you go? You have two options. First of all, if we are blocking someone and they want to go down the slide, then we say, oh, I'm really sorry. You move, and you also remind them that they do not need to speak to you in that way, right? We can be wrong and make way for the person, but you also need to stand on your own 2 feet. We're in this age where it's really important to me that, yes, my children maintain their kindness, but they cannot be pushovers. No child of mine is going to be bullied at the park, right? So I'm explaining to her that she can still say to someone, there's no need to speak to me in that way. The second option is if the person did not want to go down the slide and they are just being mean and rude, you can simply turn around and say to them, do not speak to me like that. And you can continue your game. So she says, okay. The same little boy I know, they're on, the fire engine pole, the firefighter pole when them slide down the pole, that thing. There's one of those at the park, right? So she's at the top of it. He's at the bottom. He's not even trying to slide down this thing. He's at the bottom on a bicycle. And he shouts to her that she must hurry up and come down the thing. So she says, go, go, go. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? Now, this time I am there. Ramona, baby, big up yourself. So Maya looks to me now, right? And I said to the little boy, do not speak to her in that manner. That's not kind. And he looks to me, and then he looks back at her. A couple of minutes go by, and he does the same thing again. He's shouting at my child. So I said to him, stop talking to her. Don't say anything to her. You don't need to speak to her in that way. It is not kind. Now, I know many parents believe that I should go and find the parent and not speak to the child. Okay, that's fine. You can have that opinion. In my life, if you know that your child is the little spawn of Satan and he's not very kind, you need to be present. I'm not going to go and find anybody's parent. I'm not walking around the park looking for somebody's parent when in real time he is shouting and intimidating my daughter. It's not going to happen. So he then gets off the bike and he deliberately puts the bike at the bottom of the pole so that Maya cannot come down the pole without the obstruction of the bicycle. At which point I look at the bicycle and I take it up with my two hands and I go and put it at the bottom of a tree. And I said to him, we do not block others when they are playing on things. It is not very nice. Now, at which point, that is the last time he spoke or said anything to her. And as I said, I still don't know who his parents are because they're off having the time of their lives while their children are left to terrorize other people's children. Now, the point is that my girls, they saw that this is how we speak to others and this is how we stop people. In Jamaica, we said, "Dup know who for frighten." And if you're not Jamaican, that means ghosts know who to scare. And my children must know that they are not the one. They're not the 1, 2, or 3. Okay, babes? And after that, Maya looked to me. She was very comfortable. And this little boy did not chastise her again. And this is the thing that is most important. For me, talking to the boy is not about the boy. Talking to the boy is setting an example to my child so that she knows again how to navigate these spaces when I'm not around. But what she must also know is that I will always defend my child, always. It doesn't matter the size or the circumstance, because for me, one of the most important things is that my children must move through the world knowing you don't want to mess with my mother. That's what they must know. They just must know, because there's just a different level of confidence when you know that your parent has your back. Like for me, it was my dad. I would say to anybody, you do anything to me and you better hope that my father don't find you. Right? And that always made me feel stronger. It made me feel more confident. It made me feel like nobody could intimidate me. And that is what I want for my children. So yes, I do appreciate that for others. It is very important for the me to go find the parent. That's fine. That's just not how I deal with things. The other thing, there was an adult, again, talking about taking up space and intimidating people for no reason. So this playground had like some rescue dogs, right? And so as you may know, I got bitten by a dog about a year ago. I need to go call the police because I'm still don't sort out the case. But anyway, I got bitten by a dog. The girls are scared of dogs. So at this little shelter, they're having an adopt me session. So they're trying to encourage people to adopt the dogs. They had puppies and they had big dogs. And my girls worked up the courage to play with the dogs. And I was so happy for them. I was so happy because, again, it's a step further for them getting over their fears. Okay? So they're playing with the dogs. The first time we have a little play session and we go wash our hands, and then they went and and played on the slide and all them things. And then we went back to play with the dogs again. Every time my child sees a dog in public and wants to play with the dog, I always, always, always remind them to ask the owner. And I've really encouraged you to do the same. You do not know dogs, you do not know their temperament. Do not just fast up in people's business when you see a dog and it look cute and people just run up in the dog's face. Like, you don't know the dog. It is disrespectful and it is also dangerous, especially for children. So the same rule applies at this little shelter thing. I said to them, please go and ask the people who are working there if it is okay to play with the dog. The people helped my girls pick up the dog and they're holding it like a baby. It was so cute, right? This man, again, a foreigner, right? Not a local person who is kind and loving. A foreigner comes out of his way to find us, to say to me, could you please tell them to stop picking up the dogs? I said, sorry, I'm confused. We asked permission. We always ask permission before we play with the dogs. And the lady, a lady was right beside us, by the way, who works there and playing with me, my girls, and the dogs. I said, and she said it was fine. He said, well, I'm telling you it's not. In my mind, I'm thinking, brother, who are you? But yes, we're still setting examples. We're still showing the girls how we behave. And so I said to him, I'm really confused. There seems to be some misunderstanding because you are saying one thing and everybody else is saying another thing. So I'm not really quite sure. He's like, well, the dogs don't want to be held. At this point, Nova is on the floor with the dog on her lap. The dog is just lying down, living his best life as she's stroking his tummy. So I'm like, they don't want to be held. He looks very comfortable. Well, I'm telling you to just leave the dogs alone. I was like, okay. No, I'm not trying to play that card, but needless to say, a lot of times we are the only other in the space, if you know what I'm saying. So I'm looking around and everybody else is playing with these dogs and I can feel myself getting physically angry. And when I'm getting physically angry, I know it is time to just exit the space. So I said to him, I hear you. And I said to the girls, let's go have some lunch. At which point I said to them, I'm going to speak to the lady that owns the shelter. She invited us there, by the way. She wanted us to come. I didn't even know about this backside place. So she wanted us there. So again, Nova says to me, I'm going to tell her that the man was very rude. I said, that's okay, babes. I got this. Thanks for the backup, but I can handle this conversation. So the lady comes over. She's like, oh, how is lunch? How is all the things? And long story short, I say to the lady exactly what happened. And I said, I'm not sure who your colleague is. And she goes, oh, someone that worked here? I said, no. The people that work here are absolutely amazing. And I described the gentleman to her. And I said, but this human needs to learn how to speak to people. Because I was setting an example for my children, or else I would have told him a few chosen words. Right? And she goes, I'm really, really sorry, blah, blah, blah. Again, me complaining to the owner of the shelter was not about the man. I don't care about this stupid man. It was again to show the girls how we deal with confrontation. A lot of people are so scared of confrontation that they either run away from it completely and don't deal with the situation, or they act in a way that could be best described as a particularly cantankerous. If you know cantankerous, you know cantankerous. And the point is that I think it's really important from an early stage to show your children how to deal with people who, whether it's they're rude, they're disrespectful, but the point is also know yourself. If you feel like you're getting so angry that you're not going to be the best example, babe, delay it. Delay the lesson until you are in a headspace that you think is the best version of yourself to show your children. And there have been many instances where my legs have been shaking because I'm so angry. And I know that I have to eat it. I have to eat the anger so that I can show them how we behave in what I consider to be a more professional manner. And that was definitely an example of that today. The people were trying to come for me now. I don't know why the people were trying to come for me and draw me out. But babes, I held it. I kept it under control. I'm going to come to your comments. Today was a crazy day. It was honestly a crazy, crazy day. You wouldn't go find his parents. You're addressing him to Leanne. We cut from the same cloth, babes. Liquid Treasures, big up yourself, my darling. Dax, Dunn, you are the adult. 100% establishing the boundaries, baby. And you know what? that's another thing. I have no issue establishing boundaries. People are really scared about establishing boundaries. They send messages to me asking how to deal with like other family members. There is nothing wrong with you saying how you want to be treated. It is okay, even when people do not agree. Bernie, I like what you did there, babes. I agree with you 100%. Yes, they need to model correct behavior. You should have told him a few chosen words and too bright. You guys are cracking me up. Babe, the emotional intelligence it's been a long way in the development. So you didn't tell him. Honestly, the man was really trying to draw out, but it's okay. We kept it under control. We did keep it under, but there were a few moments today that were really trying to test me. Really trying to test me. Another thing, oh my gosh, one of my babies dropped her book in the bath. So I was having a bath. I said to the girls, just do a particular exercise whilst I quickly have a bath, okay? And I said, have a seat. Nova keep coming back to show me the book. Every time she do one word, she come and show me. And then she dropped the entire book in the bath. It could not be saved. It was not a little splash. It was not something that you could put out in the sun to dry. The whole thing was ruined. Again, I felt myself go from 0 to about 80. Not 100, but 80. We were close. And what happened? I had to have an internal conversation real quick, babes. And I just said to her, my darling, I need you to go to the bedroom for a second. I need a little bit of space, right? And that was the best thing. She was clearly scared because she knew that she had ruined the entire book, right? And I was just like, whatever the words that were going to come out of my mouth in that moment of being frustrated as to why you in the bathroom, why are you in the bathroom showing me the book when I have told you to please sit and just finish the exercise? I just wanted a bath, guys. I just wanted to bathe. Just bathe with a little piece. I just want bathe. Anyway, I said to her, please go to the room, right? And I was reading a book in the bath. So I just finished my chapter. And then I said to her to come back into the bathroom. I asked her if she knew what was wrong. I am a real believer in asking your child questions. It encourages them to think. It encourages them to see the problem or find the solution for themselves. But it also gives you time to slow down. It also prevents a lecture. None of us want to be that parent where you're like, oh gosh, look guys, I've lost the earring. I just realized I lost the earring. Oh no, and I just bought them. They're pearls from some island off of somewhere. I know they're gone. Anyway, so I really encourage asking questions, right? It slows you down. It means that you're communicating, you're having a conversation that is going backwards and forwards rather than you just lecturing your kids on whatever it is. So I asked her, does she know what the problem is? She says, yes, she knows. She dropped the book in the bath. I said, okay, but it's a little bit deeper than that, babes. First of all, I told you to sit and do the exercise whilst I was having a bath and you kept coming in. But secondly, when you dropped the book in the bath and destroyed the book, you never said anything to acknowledge or to apologize for doing so. And it can be really frustrating when you do not apologize. This particular baby, she's not really big on apologizing. It's something that we're working on. But also, here's the thing, guys. Whilst, yes, she was wrong for dropping the book in the bath and for not apologizing, I also reflected on my own actions. She kept coming in the bathroom, and the first time I told her to go back and sit down, when she kept coming back, I never stopped her. And I should have. The bath is here. You get it. The bath is over yassa. The door is over yassa. There is time for her to walk from the door to the bath. I could, as the parent, as the adult in the room, I could have said to her, Nova, please stay over by the door and keep the book away from the bath water. And I didn't do that. And the reason I'm sharing this with you is because I always find it helpful when I can acknowledge where I went wrong. So that it's not just my frustration with her actions, but I can also take some of the frustration and point it back at myself and say, well, actually, you also could have made the situation better. The way I think about it is like a sport. Okay, I have 5% battery life. So I'm gonna run through this quickly. In a sport, I can throw you the ball, a team sport, and I could throw it and it could be a terrible throw, but you could run down that ball and you could still catch it. And we are on the same team, right? It's the same thing when I parent my children. It is not just what they have done that might have been incorrect in the moment, but I am on their team. So what could I have done to make sure that as a team we win? as a team. The point is, after that, she said that she was sorry. We had cuddles and we kept it moving. We dashed with a book because the book can't see us, so dash with a book. And again, remind ourselves that it is just a book. It is just a book. And the point also is that I don't ever want my children to be scared to tell me when they've messed up. So a lot of times, guys, these moments, they're insignificant in terms of it's a book, but we are laying down the foundation for what is going to happen in the future, okay? And in the future, I want my child to hear my voice in her head and say, yep, Mommy's not going to be particularly happy about this, but I'm going to tell her anyway. I'm going to tell her anyway because when she did mash up the turmeric juice on the ground, she didn't scream at me. When she dropped the book in the bath, she didn't scream at me. When she wet the bed, she didn't scream at me. Like all of these little things are letting them know it's cool. We're going to get through because we're one team. Okay, we're always one team. Let me quickly come to your comments before the phone dead. Could you tell me about your journey of opening your restaurants despite not going to culinary school? How did you learn the process? What inspired the idea or the process? Zahara, baby, I will do that tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will tell you all of the stories. I've been thinking of doing the same. Whoo, babes, there's a lot to talk about before you do that. I don't want to take anyone's dream away from them, but I also want you to have an easier path than I did. I do not recommend opening a restaurant like I did with zero experience. I do not recommend opening a restaurant in particular areas, in particular economic climates. So I'm not sure where you're located, but we have lots to unpack. What are your girls mixed with? Just curious. Overlook if you find this question too invasive. I don't find it invasive. I do find it weird when people are like, oh, your girls have really nice hair. What are they mixed with? Implying as if you couldn't have nice hair without being mixed. There are certain things that I do find weird about mixtures, but that you come from a good place, I can tell. So my children are mixed with white and Chinese. Okay, scrolling through questions on this side. Where are we at? You and oh, we did that. I really wish I'd had your sense of you had your control when mine were little. That man would have got told. Caden's Closet, pick up yourself, baby. Nina, thank you very much, my darling. Heaven, how did you start helping your kids love fruits and vegetables? Babes, I have a whole course on how to make sure that your children eat all that they eat. And for my regulars that are in these lives, I know they must be sick and tired of me repeating the same things. But basically, I always knew that I wanted children who eat absolutely everything. And I started very early. And there are lots of things that I did, babes. But lead by example is the gem that I'm going to give you tonight, okay? Don't ever speak ill over food. Don't say that you don't like something. Don't say that it's yucky. Don't use negative language. For example, I do not like cucumbers. My children think I love cucumbers and they love them too. When they offer them to me, I don't even like the smell of the cucumber, but when they offer it to me, I pretend that I love it. I'm like, and I eat it. And anybody who knows me laughs because they know that I cannot stand anything about a cucumber. So that is my tidbit of advice. The rest, babes, go download the course and learn the things. It's always a learning process, 100%. GT boss, may I respectfully disagree. She was not wrong for dropping the book since it was not deliberate to do so. I completely agree that she was not wrong for dropping the book, but she was wrong for keep coming into the bathroom with the book when I told her to stay at the table with the book, babes. That part she was wrong. And also, we apologize when we make mistakes. It is the lack of acknowledgement that is very frustrating. Nova wanted to be close. Yes, she did. Oh, do you like the netball analogy? I do love an analogy, babes. Siran, how are you, my darling? Lovely teachable moment and opportunity to edify. Yes, love it. Thank you very much, Tiffany. Big up yourself, babes. I feel like we have not connected in a very, very long time. How are you? How did your girls say, oh, we did that, Heaven? How are you so rich, so to be babes, I'm not rich at all. I'm probably the most unrich I've ever been in my entire life. And I do have to book a flight for tomorrow. I always adore the no screens because I think I was introduced too small. I wished I was held off of it. You know what? Most people do say that they wish they were held off of it for a long time. Tiffany, babes, I don't even know if you're still here, but I'm going to love Uno and leave Uno, and I will jump on tomorrow and we will talk about my restaurateur journey. I'm tired. It is 1 o'clock in the morning. I have 3% left, but thank you as always for keeping me company. I hope that you have learned something or at least been a little bit entertained. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Big up yourself every single time, and I will speak to you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye.